All right, welcome back. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the introduction. Oh, this is a different class. I was looking over my course evaluation. Somebody was like, well, he's a nerd, so that's good. Good feedback. Thanks, guys. All right, so the once you complete the authentication survey, course content. Okay, so basically all we're doing here is a student introduction form. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's just I asked you to do specific things. So I was going to go over it. Basically what I want you to do is to give me 5 pieces of information. First of all, tell me who you are. Tell me about yourself. Number 2, how long you've been at Lewis Clark to Lindenwood. What's your major? If it's psychology, if it's I know a lot of business majors for leadership psychology. Why'd you take this course? And then tell me one lie and one truth about yourself, but don't tell me which is which, because that's where we get opportunity for extra credit here. And then answer in the following. But I'll explain that more as I answer those questions myself. So let me go through this real quick just to make sure I'm not missing anything. A line of truth. Tell us about that. I'll explain that in just a second. Oh, down here I explain some more. And well, basically, somewhere in here, I say that if you can guess my lie and my truth, you get 5 extra credit points. Wondering where I put that? Oh, here we are. So you can gain 5 extra credit points if you guess my lie and my truth, but then also you get 5 more bonus points if you go through and guess someone else's lie and truth correctly, because basically we're all going to post a video on here, and within that video you're going to tell me a lie and a truth, and if someone guesses your lie or your truth correctly, then that person gets an extra 5 points. Same thing with me. If you guess my lie and my truth correctly, then you get an extra 5 points as well. So a potential for 110% here, which 5 points is actually a lot now that I think about this. So I mean, that's going to change to 5% because the assignment's only worth 1. So if you get 5 bonus points, that's going to be like a 500% on your grade. Now I can't do that, so it'll be 5 bonus percentage points. Anyways, so about myself, I'm going to go through all this stuff is basically written here if you want to read it, but I'm going to tell you in the video. Basically, who are you? I'm Mike Lee. I grew up in, I didn't really grow up in Alton. I mean, I grew up in Jerseyville, but basically Alton. I was there all the time. And then when I was 19, I joined the military, joined the Air Force. I was in basic training for my 20th birthday, which was, you know, that's an experience. And then I was in Texas for that, San Antonio, and then after I was stationed in San Antonio for basic, and then I got stationed in San Antonio, like down the street, because they got three or four military bases now. And of the 3 Air Force bases that were there, I was in the Air Force. I got moved from Lackland, which is where basic training is, over to Brooks for my training, and then up to Randolph. So I just kind of made the loop around San Antonio, never left Texas. I was in there for 4 years. I taught physiology, oddly enough, to pilots, air crew, stuff like that. And then I moved to Arizona with my wife because I met my wife in the military. We had our first kid and decided we want to be around family, and so we had this big plan where I got out of the military because she was pregnant, and if you're pregnant, you can get out of the military like any time. And so we did that while I got situated as a teacher, and then she got out of the military and had the baby, and then we moved to Arizona because that's where her family's from. I was there for, I guess, 13 years collectively. I must have thought about that at some point because I'm not sure if that's correct, but sounds about right. If I moved in 2015, now it's 2018, yeah, about 13 years. I have a dog too, and she's making a sound that sounded specifically like fire, and I was worried for a minute. She's apparently just licking her paws. Oh, I moved back to Illinois in 2015, and I started working at Lindenwood like right away. I actually did the interview over the phone like on the way here. And so I was literally day one I started here. I got a bachelor's and a master's in education whenever I was in the military, and then when I got out I started pursuing a doctorate, actually in literature first, but I realized that there's a lot of old people in literature and not that that's a bad thing, but they had been in that field for about as many years as I had been alive, and so it was really difficult for me to kind of contribute to the whole reason I wanted to be a scholar was to contribute to the field, right? And it was very difficult to contribute to that field because everybody that was in that field had been in that field for the number of years that I'd been alive at that time. And so I decided to switch over to psychology because psychology is always changing. I mean, obviously the brain's like the black box that nobody really understands quite yet. So there's a ton of room to move. And so my specialty is actually motivation psychology, which is probably why they put me in charge of this class, because motivation's a well-regarded trait. If you can motivate people to do things in the workplace, then you can motivate them to produce, and thereby that's a high-quality leadership skill. I did my dissertation on video games, and I asked people. I looked at how well people in the ADP, how they responded to playing a video game, and how it impacted their grades, which it didn't for anybody above the age of 30, which was interesting. If you were under 30, then playing this particular video game, actually did positively impact your writing skills. So, anyways, this is my 4th year now. Lindenwood. It's my 4th. I'm going on my 4th year. I've been here for 3 solid years. This is going to be my 4th year. Let's see. What was the 3rd one? What's my major? So my major is psychology, and honestly, I'm now going back to school for counseling at Lindenwood. I'll be there Monday nights taking classes there. So if you are graduating in the next semester and you are going to counseling, there's a good chance that you and I could now be classmates next semester, which is kind of weird probably for you. For me, I don't really find it that weird, but so a lot of people ask, well, you have a PhD in psychology, why would you go back for counseling? Well, you can't actually get certified as a counselor until you have a master's of counseling. So I'm in psychology, but remember my specialty is motivation. It's not actually counseling skills. And so I need that degree to actually take the test, and so therefore that's what I'm doing. My wife and I are actually both taking, and my sister, we're all taking that class together. So we make up 33% of the enrollment, because I think there's only like 9 people enrolling in that program. But anyways, we're making up 33%, so my whole family friggin' goes to Lindenwood. Let's see, number 4. What did you take? Why did you take this course? Well, I answered that question differently than I asked the question. Why did I take the course? Well, I'm not taking the course. So my next question, I guess, would be, what am I taking away from the course? One of the things, I'm not really taking anything away from the course. I hope to provide for the course. One of the things that I kind of pride myself on is that when I was going through my undergraduate and probably my graduate, but specifically my undergraduate, I remember a teacher that was very strict on not letting people pass, and they, basically everybody knew, like, if you take this class, everybody had to take it. It was a mandatory class, but if you take it, that's where they weed people out. And I thought that was, I don't know, just kind of dumb. Because I don't know, when I got to my PhD level, I mean, I never liked this idea, but I never really understood until I got to my PhD. And when you get to the PhD, everybody's supposed to be brilliant and super smart, and I don't really find myself very brilliant. But one thing that I do feel like I have is persistence. And so that's kind of one of the things, is like, while you're doing your PhD, it's a 5-year program, and for 2 of the years you're working on a single paper, and my paper ended up being 249 pages long. And so imagine when we ask you to write a 4 to 5 page essay, that's the same idea. We're just expanding it over the course of 250 pages. And that's a moderate. Some people go up to 500 pages. I mean, I've seen them go as low as 119, but yeah, so anyways, a lot of pages. And so the idea there is that I still don't really see myself as this brilliant scholar. I see myself as a persistent individual. And so that's whenever I start thinking of it, who am I to hold people back, to weed people out? I'm supposed to be a teacher, right? And so to me, a teacher doesn't weed people out. A teacher provides resources that kind of help people. And so I saw that as less of a gate, keeping people out of having their degree, and more of a bridge, kind of saying, this is how you get to this degree. And so I very much want to communicate to you guys that, ask questions. If you take this class and you submit all your homework, I'm fairly certain you're going to pass. The reason I say fairly certain is because I can say that in English. I've never had a person take the English class and get less than a D. Now a D is, kind of low, but they didn't turn in all their homework. That's the thing, is they had like 4 or 5 zeros. And so as long as you turn in your homework, I'm going to work with you to make you, I'm not going to let you fail out of this class and not get the skills that you want to. Because I feel like if you fail, that's a reflection on my part. My job is to teach you how to do stuff. And if I'm not doing my job, then who am I to say, well, that's your fault? Well, I don't really feel that way. So anyways, that's kind of my number 4. Now, number 5, this is my lie and my truth. One of these is a lie, one of these is a truth, and your job is to guess which one. But I'm not going to tell you until week 2 video, and I'll reveal that. If you guess correctly, I give you 5 extra credit points. If you don't guess correctly, then you don't get your extra credit points. And then also, after I ask you this one, well, I'll just go ahead and say it. I tan regularly, or I watch Game of Thrones. So which one is the truth and which one is the lie? I'm not going to tell you anything further than that, so you have to guess. And if you've been in my class before, you've played this game before, but you didn't have those. My last one, normally what I say is like, I can name, what is it? Normally I say something like, I can name all 6 of the My Little Ponies, the main characters of My Little Pony, or something. I forget what because the My Little Pony thing is the truth. And it's because I have a daughter, and like that's all we watched for like the first 3 years of her life was My Little Pony. And so I learned all about Pinkie Pie. I learned all about what's the other the Apple Applejack, Princess Twilight Sparkle, Rainbow Dash, Fluttershy, and Rarities, all 6. I learned all about those girls and their life. So anyways, that was my lie and my truth last time. So now it's I tan regularly or I watch Game of Thrones. You have to guess which one. Now, number 6 is where you answer that question. So for 5, you give me a lie and a truth of your own. Okay, my example was the tanning in Game of Thrones. Now, number 6 is where you actually guess. You guess mine. So in number 5, you're going to say your lie and truth, and in number 6, you're going to guess my lie and truth. Okay, so obviously I can't answer that, but anyways, you'll type that here. You'll just kind of come down here and reply with your own. And then once you reply, it's going to post it just like this. It'll look just like this, but it'll be located down here, and it'll have another little reply button. So your job after you post your 6 is to then go in and guess someone else's lie and truth. Kind of respond to them if they say something interesting, respond to that. But really what I'm looking for is I just want you to come in and say, hey, I think your lie and your truth is this, talking to that other student. Because you've already guessed mine, right? Your number 5 was you get, or excuse me, your number 6 was you guessing my lie or my truth. So don't, once you post your initial posting, don't worry about mine anymore. That's just number 6. When you look to reply to somebody else's, then you're looking at their number 5 because they said a lie and a truth on number 5, and you have to guess which one it is. If you guess right for them, that's another 5 extra credit points. No, percentage points. Percentage points. So I think that's it. That's it for that assignment. That's the end of the kind of introductory drawbridge. You're kind of coming into the city here. You've done this section. Now that you've done this section, I'm going to go ahead and close this, and the next video is going to be a weekly introduction video for this content, and it'll be a very brief video, and I'll just kind of go over what's necessary. So anyways, that's what I got for right now, and I will be back in just a few moments to discuss the weekly content, like the actual curriculum of the class. This is just kind of the fun stuff. Anyways,